If one were to make a list of the best rum distilleries in the world, at least the ones kind of producing at industrial capacity, Foursquare in Barbados should really be on that list somewhere. You've got the exceptional cask series here, which is consistently excellent. You've got a whole bunch of like entry-level bottling series. You've got the Dorleys, you've got the McCoys, you've got the RL Seals. You've got a bunch of basic Foursquares out there, which are not up there with this stuff, but they're very serviceable and they're very, very good values. What's weird is that if you hang out with other rum nerds, they don't talk about Foursquare all that much a lot of the time. They own some. They've got a bottle of the ECS Vintage Series tucked away somewhere. They probably got some Dorleys or something tucked away somewhere. But you start talking to them about Foursquare, and they're just like, oh, yeah. Foursquare's boring. Foursquare's boring. And you're like, what do you mean? Why are they boring? Well, everything they put out is the same. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, clearly there's a different mix of column pot still blends going into different bottlings. They're using different cask types. They've done some pot still bottlings. They've done the plenty puts the one with some really grungy column distillate in it. I'm not going to try to do that name. So what's the deal? And they say, well, I mean, it's all like really wood driven. There's a lot of wood on those bottles, so it's basically bourbon. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. Just because something has wood influence doesn't mean it's bourbon. What are you talking about? And you're like, okay, so you're looking for something less wood driven. I mean, they've done some cool side projects. They've done Probitas, and this conversation kind of goes like this. Some people really, really want to insist that Foursquare just is boring for some reason, and everything they make tastes the same, even though it doesn't. I think that conversation can end right about now. Everyone can shut up right about now. This is the Foursquare LFT White Barbados Pure Single Rum. And what is this? Well, first of all, it's a bottling that is extremely difficult to come by. I basically got lucky. And a friend awared me of the awareness of that this was available, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to grab. There's a couple of different bottlings of this stuff. I think I got the second bottling, which is worth less money. But what you have got here is a pet project of Richard Seal, who runs Foursquare. And what he has done is made a blend of unaged rums. Part of this is, it's all pot distilled. Part of this is from 72-hour fermented molasses from pitched yeast. And the other part of this is from wild fermented fresh cane juice that was fermented for a long, long time, for fermentation over several weeks, and then pot distilled and then blended. And yeah, so distilled 2021. Oh my god, I can smell this stuff from here. The intended use for this stuff was to put into barrel as part of the Foursquare blends, just give it a little bit of extra character, a little bit of an extra top note. But the fine folks at Velier convinced Richard Seal to do a bottling of this, and here it is. And I am going to review it for you. 62% alcohol by volume. It is also 100% Barbados sugarcane. We shall get to that. All right, let's get some notes on the table. Yeah, seriously, if you think this is boring, there is something deeply wrong with you. Bonkers. So this is called LFT. which is an abbreviation for long fermentation type. Seal did not want to call this a high-ester rum because that's kind of, it makes it sound like he's trying to do a Jamaican thing, and that is not the intention here. So, he drew a little bit of inspiration from Pear from Savannah and Reunion, who, high-ester Reunion rum. They really wanted to stamp on the Reunion side of it. It's not Jamaican, it's its own thing. And LFT is Richard's attempt to say, hey, this is not Jamaica, folks. This is Barbados. Oh my God, it is good, though. I mean, you can take hair as an initial point of reference and just have some of those bonkers characteristics. But in some ways, I'm just as reminded of Mhoba. It's not quite as crazy as Mhoba. It's a little, but it's nuts. So what are we getting? We are getting marshmallow fluff covered in like broken up sandstone and mixed olives. That's kind of the first thing. Lots of old candies, Smarties, fennel, maybe a bouillon cube in there, a little Maggi cube, pickle juice. Maybe that's just seawater. No, okay, let's go pickle juice and also seawater. White pepper. It's also quite floral. There's some dried flowers. Chewing gum. So, not like special chewing. This is the ones where you buy the pack for like 50 cents and it comes in those little sticks you have to take out of the wrapper. That stuff. Something in here reminds me of the smell of like sweet cigars. So it's not Swisher Sweets. It's more like Tatiana's. Is that what they're called? Some shoe polish, weirdly enough. And sweet potato French fries. Yeah, actually quite a lot of like just root vegetable kind of goodness in here. And yeah, like a certain just like caniness, like a certain rotting cane kind of smell. Really, really fun, really, really different from anything else you've had from this distillery. On the palate. On the palate. Much more kind of buttoned up and less crazy than on the nose, but it's still pretty nuts. We're on, like olivey marshmallow again, sandstone again, black pepper, fennel, chewing gum. The texture is interesting. It's very fat. Lots of mouth presence, particularly just the mouthfeel is very dominating. I can see why Richard originally wanted to just throw this stuff in a cask for a couple of decades or so. This feels like it would age really, really well. It's just got this, I don't know, this weight to it that feels like it could suck up oak like crazy. There's some lemon peel on this. Certain ashiness, like I don't know, like maybe you lit up one of those the sweet cigars, or even more like a dumped pipe, like dumped pipe tobacco. It's a little bit burned. Oriental tobaccos. The seawater thing again, the flowers thing again. A little bit. More of that shoe polish thing, but nice. it's just a pleasure to drink. It's not. I mean, gun to my head, is it as good or better than the ESCSs I've had? I don't know. It's not that far off, but it's it's a very nice unaged rum. So I'm gonna give this a couple squirts of water. Start with 3. I'm gonna go for like half a squirt more. Another half squirt. I don't know, stop myself there. While I wait for this to open up a little bit, this is also a good occasion to talk about the Barbados GI, geographical indication, because I think it's relevant here. Sorry, let me pull up my notes. All right, so here's the story, and here's why this is relevant. Foursquare and Mount Gay and St. Nicholas Abbey, along with some of the newer distilleries, which are just started kicking in right now, have been pushing for years to start a Barbados rum geographical indication, which is essentially like the spirits equivalent of a PDO. So think cognac. It's attached to a geographical territory, and there's certain rules of production. And what they've been wanting is to say you can't put Barbados rum on with a little seal or stamp or logo of approval on a bottle, unless it is it must be distilled, matured, blended, and bottled in Barbados, free of adulterating substances. So, not a huge list. I mean, as long as we're talking about cognac, the cognac regulations are much more strict than that, right? If you wanted to source grapes from outside cognac to make your cognac, you wouldn't be allowed to. You have to grow every single grape in that region. Not so with this particular GI. Now, there is a step up. They're also proposing from the basic Barbados rum GI, which is the estate GI. And the estate is the one where whether you're making rum from cane juice or molasses, the original cane is itself grown on Barbados. That's what gets you the estate designation. And so this, I think, is meant to wave that flag, because this is all from Barbados sugarcane, and I think a lot of this is from Foursquare's own plantings of cane. And you'll see this among the other producers as well, like the Mount Gay single estate, which I really would like to try, but it's extortionately expensive. And I think St. Nicholas Abbey is also doing similar things. So, there's different levels to this. And of course, if you want to make rum in Barbados and go age it in Europe, say, this is not saying you can't do that. It's just saying that you couldn't put Barbados rum on there. It's an option for producers to distinguish themselves with that kind of higher appellation. Now, of course, this is being opposed by Maison Ferrand, who own Plantaray and who own the West Indies rum distillery. But to give you some idea, I mean, they also make what is it, Cane Rock, which is a sweetened up Jamaican rum. Jamaica does have its own GI. So does Martinique, for that matter. There's a couple of them out there. And because Cane Rock, I think it's Cane Rock, does not fit the rules for that GI, they have to say, rum distilled in Jamaica rather than Jamaican rum. That is the price they pay. In Barbados, they don't have to do that. They can happily blend rum from other places in there, rum from Trinidad, rum from wherever, and still put product of Barbados on there, no problem. So they have opposed this on the basis of it's going to cramp their innovations. Of course, it won't, because they can still just say distilled in Barbados. But they don't want other. They don't seem to be interested in the other distilleries being able to step up to a higher degree of classification. Anyways, so this is waving that flag. This is, hey, it's all Barbados cane, and it's distilled here. It's not aged, obviously, but everything is done here, and it's unadulterated. This is supposed to be the good stuff. Anyways, just a little bit of background information. While this thing's airing out, let's head back into it. I have my preferences in that side of the debate. I do. Okay. So in terms of development, not a ton of development on the nose of this. There's some more minerality, a little bit more rocks, more Smarties. A little bit more citrus. There's some kind of orange peel creeping in now. Yeah, it's delightfully just un-Foursquare, but yeah, it's very different. It's very, very well made on the palate. Similar story on the palate. It brings out a little bit of the sweetness a bit more. A little bit of a cane syrup kind of aspect, but also a little bit more minerality and a little bit more pepperiness as well. Yeah, I mean, this is just a very coherent, but at the same time slightly bonkers, not excessively bonkers, rum. And I'm really impressed by the mouth presence of this. It really feels like it would age like crazy. Mhoba but sane is kind of my, well, high-ester Mhoba but sane is kind of my thought process here. What am I going to score this? It's high 80s. I can't get up to 88, but I'm close. I'm going to give this an 87 plus. And yeah, it's a hard to find bottle, and the prices on secondary are absolutely silly. But it's one worth trying. I don't know if it's necessary to own a bottle, but if you see this at a super cool rum bar, and they're charging a reasonable amount of money for under $20. Under $20 is worth just getting a glass of it, just to see what this thing is like, because it's a lot of fun. 87 points, 87 plus. Sorry. Well done, Richard Seal, and yeah, y'all can stop complaining about Foursquare now. They make different things. Thanks for watching, and cheers.